yesterday's news.
Hello, welcome to Old News, the programme and podcast which looks at news stories of the day through the papers of yesterday. Well, what else could it be this week other than the TT, that venerable institution which reigns supreme over the Isle of Man for 2 weeks during late May and early June, around the TT course, now the mountain course, as we know, but of course used to be around by Peel. So, a rummage back through the papers, and of course, again, it has been in the papers for well over a century. I take you back perhaps to the Peel City Guardian, Saturday, June the 12th, 1920. Practising for the TT races next week is proving a great attraction to many, and several from Peel regularly go to witness the performances of the entrants at Ballacrane and Belig in the early mornings. Yes, those were the days. 37 of the competitors were out on Saturday morning and some good times were accomplished. There was one accident of a minor nature which occurred to Perrin, the racing manager of the Indians. That's a motorbike, by the way, not a tribe, who came off at Sulby. He did not require medical attention. The best times were put up by Shaw on his Norton at 45 minutes 37 seconds. On Monday, there were 50 of the competitors on the course and there were several mishaps. Rice on his Sunbeam, who did the fastest circus of the morning, 44, who did the fastest circuit of the morning, 44 minutes and 9 seconds, on his second round failed to take a corner before the first iron gate on the mountain and crashed into a telegraph pole. The machine was completely broken up. The rider had his left arm broken below the elbow. He was taken to the hospital where the arm was set. Shaw, who managed doing 3 non-stop circuits for the purpose of trying the new tanks fitted to the Norton, unfortunately had on his first round a nasty fall at Governor's Bridge, and he only completed 1 circuit. Dollison on an Ivy had his machine on fire near Ramsey before he had completed a circuit. Jay Oates, one of the Manx riders, went out on his first circuit on an Aurora, but he had trouble at the Quarterbridge, which kept him some time, and he was unable to finish before practising ceased at 7 a.m. In addition to Rice, other fast times were put in by Townsend on the Sunbeam, 44 minutes 30 seconds, Eric Williams on a Sunbeam, 44 minutes 58, and Dougie Brown on his Norton, 45 minutes 28 seconds. Practising on Tuesday morning, we read, was of an interesting character, and large numbers who were out early in the morning had an excellent spectacle. 17 of the competitors completed 2 rounds and one went 3 times, making very good time. This was Dance on a Sunbeam. His times were 44 minutes 40 seconds, 43 minutes 15 seconds and 44 minutes 30 seconds. On Thursday, the weather fine again in the morning and a large number of competitors out. Some good times registered, or God times as it says. Good to see there were typos even then. Dance on a Sunbeam did circuits again, 46 minutes 53 seconds and 44 minutes. It was going well. We skip to the Peel City Guardian of Saturday, June the 16th, 1923, the Junior TT race. The Junior TT took place on Monday after a night of very heavy rain. No change there then. The sun came out at about 8 o'clock, and though there were some dull intervals, there was no rain throughout the day. The sun was warm, but there was a cold breeze blowing, which died away towards the evening. Sounds vaguely familiar, doesn't it? The day was observed as a general holiday in Peel, and crowds of people flocked out to their own particular vantage points to view the races by train and bus, while large numbers walked. The points in demand were Belig, Ballacrane, Ballygarrigan, Laurel Bank and Cronkavoddy. Hooray! Well, still a good spot to watch now, all of those. There were 72 competitors and all the machines started. The race consisted of 6 laps of the course, a distance of 226.5 miles. There was a good attendance at the start, and at every available point around the course there were numerous spectators. There were 4 Manx riders in this competition. Number 1, T.M. Sheard on an AJS. Number 39, C. Stead on a Cotton. Number 52, D.M. Brown on a Sunbeam. And number 55, T. Gardner on a new Imperial. Well, that might be Cordner. Not very clear in the typing, I'm afraid. So that there was an especial interest in the event for Manx people. Sheard was first off, and the others who were started at half-minute intervals. 2 machines were out early in the first round, Mr. Brown and also number 69 W.L. Handley, the latter having engine trouble at the bottom of Bray Hill. Number 36, J.H. Welsby on a Wetherell, gave the spectators at Belig Bridge a thrill on his first round. He seemed to lose control after getting over the bridge and badly grazed the sod hedge on the left side of the road near the joiner's shop. He, however, was able to get away without stopping and continued several rounds. Sill's Douglas machine caught fire, but it was quickly extinguished and he was able to proceed. Several others stopped out in the first lap. Well, then as now, quite often, regular retirements from the race. It also talks about the lightweight race and gives quite a few times for various pieces. They don't skimp on talking about the accidents either. A nasty accident occurred on Tuesday morning. Now, these were the days. During the early morning practices, C.F. Wood on Scott was trying a time circuit on his sidecar combination and when taking the corner at Craig Willie's Hill, Glen Helen, collided with a traction engine with a trailer in tow coming down the hill. Yes, from that we gather the roads weren't actually closed in those days. The big wheel of the engine hit Wood on the shoulder and the bicycle and sidecar hit the bank and turned over, the sidecar being smashed. Harry Reid, another competitor in the sidecar race, was passing later and found Wood and Smith lying in the ditch in a dazed condition. Reid took Smith onto Sulby, where he was examined by Dr. Templeton and found not to be seriously hurt. Wood was taken by Langman to Ramsey Hospital, where he was detained suffering shock. His shoulder was dislocated and his ribs bruised. The lightweight TT took place on Wednesday. The weather, though fine, was dull and cold, but in the afternoon the sun came out and it was a bit warmer, though there was a cold northwesterly breeze. 100 years ago, the weather's still just as bad. There was a great difference in the attendance, the various points of vantage round Peel, as there was no holiday. There were, however, good numbers from other parts of the island. I like the fact there was holiday just in Peel. Should bring those back, I think. We go to the Examiner of Friday, July the 4th, 1924, the close of the TT races. Indescribable enthusiasm at the prize presentation. If, as has been seriously suggested, the article starts in certain quarters, 1924 should prove to be the last year of the TT races in the Isle of Man, well, it wasn't quite, just another 100 plus years, then no more wonderful farewell ceremony could possibly have been arranged than that of last Friday evening in the gardens of the Villa Marina. There have been many wonderful presentation nights in the history of the TT races, but never has there been a night to compare with the final presentation night of last week. Scenes of unbounded enthusiasm and unrestrained admiration for the pluck and skill of the riders took place as the successful competitors stepped up to receive their trophies from the hands of the Deputy Governor, Deemster Lamothe, and the whole spectacle was one which must surely have stamped itself indelibly in the minds of all who were present. When all other thoughts of Manxland have faded from the memories of the little band of ACU officials who sat on the platform, every future presentation, wherever it may be, will conjure up a mental picture of 5,000 to 6,000 people standing in the beautiful gardens of Villa Marina, cheering themselves hoarse in honour of the victors of one of the world's premier sporting events. Grandiose talk indeed. If it be that the ACU do withdraw the TT races from the Isle of Man, then they do so at the very height of their glory and on the crest of a great wave of enthusiasm. But to hark back to Friday night, the reception accorded to Gillard was nothing short of magnificently glorious, and it would be difficult indeed to describe the feelings of this modest little Frenchman as he stood at the salute, a lone and erect figure in the middle of a platform, while his thousands of admirers took up the strains of La Marseillaise. A French journalist who accompanied the French team to the island responded on behalf of Gillard and said it was the finest reception they had ever received in their racing career and they would never forget it. When E. Twemlow, winner of the lightweight event, came up for his trophy, adorned in his green and yellow racing colours and escorted by a number of fellow riders, the whole procession, headed by a huge new Imperial flag, the band struck up and the cheering lasted for several minutes. Mr. Downs of New Imperial Limited replied on Mr. Twemlow's behalf and said he had just received a wire from the father of the Twemlow boys, who had both achieved fame that week, congratulating them on their shining victory. Mr Downs, speaking as a British manufacturer, expressed pleasure at the entry of our gallant allies, Gillard, Richard and Peen, also Varsi, the Italian, who proved his mettle by a magnificent deed of heroism, and also the Australian and South African riders. Bennett, the winner of the blue ribbon of the motorcycling world, was shouldered onto the platform amidst deafening cheers. Then Mr Norton was called for and a speech requested. He said he was proud of Bennett and proud of his machine, and they could not possibly know what a happy man he was that day. His machine had won the race 17 years ago, and they'd been good losers ever since. They were now going to be good winners and not get a swelled head. He also wished to express his obligation to all the riders and to Mr Mansell, who'd taken all the work off his shoulders for this year's races. It was announced that Bradford Motor Club had won the team prize. Of course, they did do team prizes back in the day, didn't they? We also read a bit further on, the lightweights only 6 miles an hour slower than the seniors. It will not have escaped the attention, it says, that in the lightweight and senior races run on the same day, the time taken by the lightweight winner was only 24 or 25 minutes less than the time of the senior winner. A mere 25 minutes, it's a mere nothing in racing terms. That is to say, the 250cc machine averaged only 4 minutes odd seconds per lap slower than the 500cc machine. A mere 4 minutes, it's a breadth, it's a hair's width. And this is not the feat of one exceptionally brilliant competitor. For the same difference which separated Twemlow from Bennett at the end of the 6th round separated Porter from Dixon at the end of the 4th. The improvement in the speed of the seniors was really very slight. Bennett went round 6 laps in 4 hours 40 minutes, whereas in 1922, when he also won, he went round in 4 hours 53 minutes, an increase of only 3 miles per hour over the 226 miles of the course. The winning lightweight, indeed, was only 14 seconds slower than the winning junior, with another unit of horsepower. To be sure, the atmospheric conditions on Friday were most satisfactory, while competitors on Monday were greatly handicapped by mist on the mountains. That would be a bit difficult, wouldn't it? In the Ramsey City Guardian of Friday, November the 18th, 1927, rallies and the TT races. A new entry for the TT races next year will be the Rally Motorcycles, a firm which has never yet been entered for these events. They're seeking riders with experience of the Manx course. And in the Examiner of Friday, March the 21st, 1930, buy air to the TT races. I don't know whether you could take your bike. Lovers of motorcycle racing who cannot fit in the usual day or two for watching the TT races in the Isle of Man this year will be able to hop across from Southport to Douglas and back again on the day of the particular race they wish to see, says the Daily Dispatch. Mr Harold Pemberton, motoring correspondent of the Daily Express, has the following note about the races. The Tourist Trophy races in the Isle of Man in June promise to be more than usually interesting. I hear that entries are likely to be received from South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Egypt, Singapore and Jamaica. Don't get many Jamaican or Egyptian riders these days, do we? No. Our home riders will have to look to their laurels. This is being made possible by Mr T.H. Halsall of Southport, who's arranging a daily service of 14-seater aeroplanes on the 3 TT race days. The machines will take off from Southport and passengers will be in the stands at Douglas in less than an hour. Well, you can still fly to the TT races, though I dare say most people coming over travel by boat and bring their motorbikes with them, of course. But if you could just fly over, people certainly do. There were certainly people when I was coming back from London the other day who were over for the TT via plane. Whichever way you look at it, of course, whilst things have changed, the roads are closed happily now for the races rather than bumping into traffic. And the weather, well, remains the weather. It's old news. Have a lovely TT, whatever you're doing. Until next week, cheerio.
You're gonna be yesterday's news.